Welcome to GameRomp, a chill, easygoing podcast about video games, I guess. And we're your hosts, me, Deanna, and...
Me, David.
And this...
Are you awake?
Barely.
Okay, yeah, I'm noticing a little low energy from you, but that's okay.
I thought we were supposed to be low energy.
I guess.
Anyways, this week this is gonna be a big old podcast about the Video Game Awards.
Yeah, the big old show where they give the awards that we don't really care too much about.
Mostly because we just don't have the ability, I guess, to play all the video games that actually came out this year.
Yeah, out of the whole show, I think the only game I played was Unicorn Overlord. And it's like, is that really the only game I played from 2024?
And I'm not sure I played anything. I know you wanted me to try Unicorn Overlord, but I didn't get to it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Oopsie daisy.
I'm trying to think, like, surely there was at least one other 2024 game I've played.
Well, if you come up with it, you can let us know.
Well, either way, that was definitely the only game. Well, technically, I guess Genshin Impact was in one of the...
Yeah, but that feels kind of... I'm assuming ongoing game or something.
Oh, it was in Player's Choice.
Oh, okay.
The one where people voted. So I guess there's a lot of Genshin players that are like, yeah, it's really good, but
That's not a 2024 game.
No, it's an ongoing game, and it did have a new update recently.
But then again, I mean, Fortnite's also not a 2024 game, so...
Then again, I guess they have an update like every 20 days or so, or every 40 days, I guess, if you want to... Those are when the big patches drop. Anyways, this isn't a Genshin Impact podcast. We watch the show not because we care too much about the awards, but because it's just fun to see the trailers and get excited about new things to look forward to.
Yeah, and usually, I sit through these trailer mashups, whatever you want to call it, trailer releases and stuff. And usually I'm like, this game is just not what I'm into. This game looks kind of cool, whatever. But I tend to not have any big announcements that I get holy shit, I can't believe they're actually doing this like that. And this year, I actually got one of those big surprises towards the end, so that was actually nice to feel, because usually I'm just watching you get excited over announcements.
I get excited about games that I probably never even end up playing anyways.
But it's just the thought of oh my god, this series I really, really enjoyed is coming back, and I was not expecting it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could get started. We're gonna go through the games that we actually maybe we would care about or thought looked interesting. There's going to be a lot we skip. So, I mean,
it's not going to be technically every trailer.
Maybe we'll double back on some of the other ones, but yeah, there was a lot and a lot we don't care about, and some of it that we are super excited, and some of it that just looks cool and we want to talk about. So,
yeah, so I'll just preface this now that if you're really into the Rudy Tooty shooty multiplayer things, we're not going to talk about those very much.
Yeah, there's probably 2 games on here that might have guns. Anyway, I guess we can start then. One of the first biggest surprises that really came out of nowhere.
Oh, is this? Yeah, this is the one where you went off to go do something.
And you were like, guess what was on there? And I was like, just throwing out a bunch of random guesses. It's Shadow Labyrinth, which I'm sure if you hear the name Shadow Labyrinth, the first thing you think of is Pac-Man.
Yeah, sure, why not?
So it's a Pac-Man game.
But again, it seemed like in the trailer, I don't know if this is a brand new IP other than using Pac-Man, but Pac-Man in the game seems like he's a pet.
He's like a little robot thing, kind of like the little robot in Gundam that always follows around the main protagonist. He's a little circle orb robot thing. Yeah,
but it also the more of the trailer also showed him growing or mutating or something, or was that am I misremembering?
So it's basically, it looks like a Metroidvania kind of adventure. You're controlling this character in a black cloak, and Pac-Man is following you. But in a good way. He's your friend, I guess, or your pet or something.
Hopefully, unless he thinks you're a ghost because of the cloak.
And then at certain points, your character I guess uses a weapon like a sword or something, but Pac-Man can also be used as a weapon or something. He comes out and starts chomping on things.
And I guess that makes sense. That's his existence, right?
And it's kind of it's, I don't want to say dark and gritty, but like for lack of a better description, yeah, it's weird. It's very weird, but kind of interesting. Like it's weird, but not in a necessarily terrible way.
Yeah, like I had told you yesterday, it almost gave me the feeling of what they tried to do to Bomberman back in the, was it the original Xbox, where they made him like gritty and like military or something, but not as bad because Pac-Man still just looks like a little yellow ball.
Oh, there's another one. We forgot to mention One Move Away. I don't think you saw that trailer fully.
No, I think I caught the end of it.
And it's basically like, there was another game that was like moving boxes and stuff, right? That you played?
Yeah. Shit.
I don't remember.
I'll probably remember. Yeah, it was a little pixel isometric game.
Yeah.
That was actually really good.
A lot of people,
unpacking. Literally unpacking.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to love that game. I never played it. But this one is more about like your, I guess, packing your boxes into like a little car.
Yeah, so have you ever played it's like the little physical puzzle game, I guess. I don't know if there's a name to it. And you like have to fit all these luggage items into this car and
no, it's not ringing a bell.
I don't know. I think that was actually made into a little physical game, but I don't know what it's called.
Well, I guess this is a game that maybe you would be interested in, but I saw it, I'm like, not for me.
Yeah, it depends on the price tag, I guess.
I guess the first big, well, I guess Pac-Man was a surprise, but the first interesting surprise that was exciting, at least for me, was The Witcher 4.
Yeah.
And it was fun because like it was one of those ones where you see like just a little bit of hints of what it was, and I saw some like, I don't know, some totems or wooden wind chimes, I guess, in the woods, and it's just like, oh, this looks like The Witcher to me for some reason.
The environment.
Yeah. And then you see, CD Projekt Red's animations and their people, and it looks really good, and then you see The Witcher, and it's like, wait, is that a female Witcher? And it turns out it's Ciri.
Yeah, of course it's Ciri, because there's no other female Witcher, right?
Well, when I heard that they were making The Witcher 4 and that it wouldn't be Geralt, that it could be somebody else, I thought maybe they're going to let you like create your own or something. Because a lot of people do like, oh, maybe we could play as a female Witcher, or maybe make your own or something. I don't know. The fact that they're bringing back Ciri is interesting because Ciri in The Witcher 3, she's so powerful. Like way more powerful than Geralt. So how are they going to like temper her powers to make the game, I don't know, not too easy?
Well, I guess they kind of already showed that in the trailer, and the fact that like she goes after this thing and already has to like take a potion.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I like Ciri. Ciri's a great character, and it's always fun to see more of her and see where they go with this. Is Geralt going to be there? Is he just retired? How will she play differently? Will she have like different sorts of spells and stuff? Because, I mean, she can like teleport and blink around and stuff and like travel between dimensions. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. I'm definitely excited about The Witcher 4. Although, I'm going to need a new computer.
Yeah. There's a lot of these games that if we want to play, we're probably going to have to upgrade, which is not going to be easy, but...
I don't know. There's a few that we might not need to, but I guess we'll see.
Well, I know, like, One Move Away, I probably wouldn't have to, but...
Anyway, moving on from The Witcher, which was probably the first really exciting part of the night for me. There was more Elden Ring, which was surprising, but I'm not really sure what it is. It's like a co-op, just...
Yeah, it looked like
dungeon?
It was multiplayer, but then they mentioned co-op, which... Does co-op only mean 2 people, or can co-op be multiplayer?
It can be more than that.
Okay.
Like maybe 2 to 4 would be my guess. I don't know what the max limit on Elden Ring would be. It's one of those games that has multiplayer, and I just never play multiplayer.
Yeah.
Especially in Elden Ring, because you get those little, like, the ghost summons.
Are those called echoes, or am I just getting confused?
I don't remember what they're called. It's been so long since I played that.
Everyone knows what ghost means, I guess.
Yeah, the little white ghostly people and things you can summon. But in this one, I guess it's more about, like, you're playing with your friends, I guess. And I'm not sure. They didn't show a lot of info, but I did notice that one of the bosses from Dark Souls 3 was there. I forget his name. He's the guy that rides the dragon and shoots down lightning. He's like one of the hardest bosses in Dark Souls 3.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not able to help you because I haven't really played any of these games.
Thunder King or something. I don't know. I don't remember his name. It's been forever since I played Dark Souls 3, but it was definitely that guy, the Storm King or something.
Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's all their IPs, so if they
yeah,
want to use a monster from that.
that's what it makes me wonder. Like, are they going to be bringing back a bunch of other older monsters from other games, and this is just kind of like an arcadey adventure thing?
I mean, might as well.
Because it's basically Elden Ring's world and graphics. They aren't making a lot of new assets for this, it doesn't seem.
Right.
And it's a standalone game, so it kind of feels like it's just a remix or a celebration or something. So
does that mean, okay, it's a standalone game? It's not just like you go into the Elden Ring and then enable co-op?
yeah, it seems like it would be you buy this game to play it. You don't need to own the original Elden Ring.
Interesting. I wonder if that would make it cheaper or if it's just going to, charge the same. Because, like, I'm just thinking if you already have Elden Ring installed on your computer, you're going to have to install Elden Ring again to play this multiplayer.
This other separate game, because it's not Elden Ring.
I mean, yes, but no.
Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. I guess we'll see more details when it comes out. I mean, I still haven't even played the DLC, which is crazy because I've put so many hours into Elden Ring. I just never got around to the DLC.
Well, I heard it's stupid hard, so.
Yeah, well, people said that about the original game too, so.
I mean, yeah, that seems like it'd be right up your alley and just like. Because it wasn't like the trigger for accessing the DLC like level 120 or something.
I don't know if there is a level requirement, but there's a boss you have to beat, and I think he's called Moog or something, or Mog, I forget. He's one of the. You remember in the beginning of the game where you fight the guy right outside the castle and he has like that cane, and he looks like a goat man or something.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's basically like his brother or something. Like there's another version there's a few versions of that guy, and one of the ones you have to fight is like this blood version, and he uses blood magic, and he's guarding this like cocoon with the body inside of it. Anyway, you have to beat him, and I guess you access the DLC from there because it's connected to the guy he's guarding basically.
Oh, okay.
And that is a hard boss, but I have beat that boss, so technically I could just go into my old account and play it, but I feel like I would have to like relearn all the muscle memory, and I don't know.
It's been a while, so.
Anyway, so yeah, more Elden Ring, of course. What was after Elden Ring that we cared about? Or maybe...
Well, you wrote down Catley. So this one, again, this is one of those trailers where they don't really show any gameplay. It's just these
a bunch
cats.
Of cats, and they look really weird.
Yeah, they look like what some in the furry community might call sparkle dogs or sparkle cats in this case. And it's just, they look mostly like normal cats, but yeah,
you can customize them, I guess, to look a little weird. Like one had rainbow eyes with stars in it, which was kind of weird.
And then one of the cats had like yellow highlights on it,
yeah.
Like it was dyed its hair or something.
Apparently, it's like a cat MMO, from what I read.
I mean, if I could make my own cat character, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it seems like you could do that. But then at some point in the trailer, there was like this cute Asian girl, and like, what is she? What was that?
I don't want humans in my animal MMO.
They didn't elaborate on what that is. Like, is this your owner or something?
Yeah, and again, this is like a trailer that doesn't really show. Was there anything gameplay? It was just cinematics, right?
Yeah, it was mostly just cinematic. I mean, it seems cinematic stuff. Like,
so
it was weird and interesting, I guess.
Curious, but we'll have to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, we just don't have a lot of info. But like a cat MMO, I guess. What would that be like? I guess we'll see.
A furry paradise for cat furries.
After that, there was a trailer by, his name is Fumito Ueda, and he's the basically the dude that was in charge of like Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, which are two games I really love.
Although you never played the
third
Last
one,
Guardian.
No, because that was on the PS3, and I didn't get a PS3 until way later.
I bet you could find that game for basically free at this point.
Maybe. It's also like the least interesting looking one, in my opinion, but maybe one day. I don't know. I really love the other two, though. So it would be interesting to see what new thing his team puts out.
I guess, but like this trailer, preview, whatever you want to call it, it was just like a mecha and things exploding.
Yeah, I didn't really show that much. It's like, oh, something is there's like a, I don't know, was it a nuke or something? A big explosion. There was like a countdown, and he was trying to escape on like this.
He didn't really seem very worried about escaping.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to follow, but I mean, that's kind of a lot of his games anyway, so.
Yeah, fair.
I guess the thing that's exciting is just knowing that their team is going to make a new game. That's kind of the only thing, really.
That's fair. They're very different types of games.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what they do next time.
I will say one thing before we move on is when he did escape in the head of the mecha, it was slowly pulling out a spine, which is usually not a thing you associate with mechs.
Yeah, I mean...
so maybe it's like a merge of something.
It seemed like a desperate escape, and like the thing was tearing itself apart, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, another one I wrote that mostly because the trailer was funny.
Yeah, that was very good.
And like they're like from the creators of this and that and Fallout 3 2, which was New Vegas. It's basically Outer Worlds 2. And I haven't played the first Outer Worlds, but mostly because I don't know, it was just a first-person shooter, and when I play Fallout, which I guess this would be the thing you would compare it to is Fallout, I kind of like to play in third person, because the first person, if I play first-person games for too long, sometimes it can kind of motion sicky. So, I don't know, I figured I'll just wait, and if there's a third-person model, I'll get it. But, I don't know, maybe they'll have that in this, because their new Skyrim-like game, Avowed, apparently that has a third-person mode. So if they did that for Avowed, maybe they'll do that for Outer Worlds too. That would be exciting. I know it's kind of a niche thing to worry about, but I like games where you can switch between first and third person to just be more comfortable.
I guess I get very immersed when I'm in first person, so if there is an option to go to third person, I usually don't do it.
It's funny though, because didn't you play Red Dead Redemption 2 in third person? Because you could do that in first person.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure why.
I remember
it just felt better. I don't know.
I remember watching a Let's Play with some YouTuber who he just played that entire game in first person, and it is very immersive. And it's like, oh, cool, but I'd rather play it in third person.
Maybe it's my best guess, and I'm just pulling this out of my ass, but like in Red Dead Redemption, you're playing as a character you can't really customize. Like, you can let his hair grow out or get his hair cut, but that's about it. So it like, I guess I didn't feel connected to him in that sense of wanting to like be in his body, I suppose. Whereas like if I'm playing Skyrim or even fucking Minecraft or something, like that's my character, so I'm supposed to be in them. But then like if I play Skyrim, I downloaded mods that put all different kind of customizing clothes on them. And I still play in first person, and that's probably silly because you can't really see the body, but...
Yeah, except like, I guess there's the little scenes where you kill something, sometimes it pulls out the third person.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you had there was another one.
Oh, the Split Fiction.
Split
Fiction, yeah. So, okay... if we had like recorded this like live or something, like doing a stream or something, I probably would have, I'll just bring up that like the guy who makes these games is very eccentric, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And he's like the one person that I guess they don't censor. Like no one else seemed to swear like he did. He's like, we do fucked up shit without fucking up or something like that. Which I'm sure there's people that would probably argue that, but whatever. And
did they not censor that? I could have sworn I heard beeps.
No, I remember him saying it completely.
Oh, I don't know.
And he's just, I don't know, there's something about him, he's just very out there and stuff, and I just thought that was funny that he's always there every Game Awards, and he just talks freely like that, and
it's good marketing.
No one else seems to do it. I don't know. I just thought, like, the introduction and how he's reading off the game.
But what about the game itself?
So the game itself is, yeah, it's... Okay, there was also the part where he's explaining that these two writers are going to this tech company where they take their stories and they can make it immersive. And then he mentions that, like, something goes wrong. One of the writers, like, falls into the other writer's thing, so they get sucked into the same world. and they don't realize that their stories are actually going to be stolen by the tech bros. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could see tech bros doing that shit.
Yeah.
It is, they're both fantasy worlds, but yeah, one is a sci-fi fantasy world and the other is a fantasy world. Like, you know, dragons and
High
medieval stuff, and yeah. And it would be interesting to see, like, I guess you fight in one world at a time, but maybe there would be parts where they start to merge at some part.
I don't know.
Maybe. I guess we'll see.
Oh, and for people who don't know, this is from the people that made those other co-op games, like It Takes Two or...
It Takes Two, the one from the prison.
I don't remember what that's called, yeah.
And then The Tale of Two Brothers,
yeah.
which we played for like maybe half an hour one time.
So it's like a bunch of co-op games. Like you need two people playing, like, and it's happening all at the same time.
Yeah, they definitely have their specific niche of games that they make.
It's funny because The Tale of Two Brothers, I think it started off mostly as like, oh, you control both, but one brother with one stick and the other brother with the other stick on the controller. But even that game we played in co-op where I was holding one side of the controller and you were holding the other.
Yeah.
So I bet a lot of people did that and they're like, oh, this is something we should do or lead into.
Maybe we should try that game again. Do we have it on one of the consoles, or was that on
I don't remember.
PC and we played with a controller?
It might have been on the PS3 back when I had a PlayStation Plus and a bunch of free games from that. But it might be in one of our libraries. I don't really have a huge urge to play that. I know they remade it too, so we'll see. Maybe it's on Xbox.
I mean, they're all
Pass.
different games. They just share the co-op thing, so maybe like trying to play the other ones isn't actually technically needed. It just, I don't know. The guy seems interesting, eccentric, and the game idea seems like something that would happen. So.
I mean, to be fair, out of all the games they made, this is the one to me that looks the most interesting. But I guess I'm just not a huge co-op kind of person anyways, but I guess we'll see. There was one part of the trailer where it's like, oh, they're just basically being like a Samus's morph ball.
Oh, yeah, the morph ball. Yeah, that was... I mean, that's pretty fucking clear to be based on that. Because where else do you get a morph ball that does that? It sticks to walls and goes in tiny places.
So yeah, the sci-fi section had that and like nanobots and weird sci-fi armor, and then the fantasy one had like, you have a pet dragon and they fly around and stuff, and it's like, okay. Well, we'll see. I guess the next one would be...
Oh, Black Frost.
Oh.
The Long Dark 2.
This was another big surprise to me.
Yeah, because it seemed we both kind of recognized the...
aesthetic of...
Yeah, the kind of almost the filter of The Long Dark. So we're like, wait, did they finish all the episodes? Maybe they're finishing, like, maybe this is the last episode. But then they started showing a lot more people in, and it's like, people don't exist in The Long Dark, basically.
Yeah,
it's
unless you're playing,
you.
like, the story mode, you see some NPCs, but they're usually, like, in, you know, closets or something, or in a house, so they're not out in the world. I guess it's basically The Long Dark in a new location, and it looks like it will probably have co-op.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, the story in The Long Dark is, like, you are fighting with your, well... Not fighting, but you're playing as a guy. He got divorced from this lady, but there's the, like, electronical, like, solar storm or something that fucks up all the electronics or something.
Yeah, that doesn't happen right away. Like, she comes to you and she's like, oh, I need to go to this far remote area of Canada. Can you fly me there? It's for, like, somebody's medical emergency or something. And then while you're flying out there, that's when, like, the solar storm happens and, like, your plane gets knocked down, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's post-apocalyptic or just like because you're out in the remote area that even a small thing like that can make it seem like post-apocalyptic. But you're basically stuck in frigid Canada and you have to survive, and the biggest foe you have is honestly
nature.
Like the weather, and the cold, and you got to stay warm, find good clothing, get, you know,
find food. Try
and,
not to die to wolves,
Yeah, there's wolves and sometimes bears. But I guess for me, the biggest appeal of the original Long Dark was not the story mode, but the survival mode, where there is no story. You're just dropped out there and you have to, like, survive. And you scrounge through different cabins or find different places that have like cans of food, and pick up sticks and stuff to make campfires, and find scraps of clothing that you can like bolster yourself with to keep warm. So I don't know if the new one is going to be story based or more just they're going to lean into that, because I think most people kind of prefer the survival versus the story.
I mean, if you look into the game, they have like the 5 episodes or whatever for the story, but the vast majority of challenges are all survival based.
Yeah.
And like they seem, I might also just be incompetent at the game, but they seem extremely challenging. Like even the quote unquote easiest challenge, I've never unlocked any of the achievements in it.
Oh, I don't even pay attention to the achievements, so.
But it's like you can choose different modes of survival, and they're like, okay, in this survival mode, you have to get these, maybe not achievements, but they're challenges, and you have to do this specific thing at this specific location. And I'm like, I never managed any of those. But in the trailer, yes, they show a lot of more what I assume is NPCs. I don't know if it's just going to be NPCs or if it's going to include some form of multiplayer or at least co-op, because I would love to play that game with you.
My guess is going to be, some co-op stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people want co-op.
I just hope that it's not like a PvP thing, because this is, I mean, you do get a gun at some point. You get like a hunting rifle or like a flare gun, but this isn't like a shoot 'em up. Even when you have a hunting rifle, you got to be careful against the wolves and forget about the bears.
Yeah.
Like you can technically, I guess, kill a bear, but it's not easy. So it's like, oh shit, just do you scare them away? I don't remember. It's like every time you see a bear, it's just like, oh my god, this is it. You're dead.
Yeah, basically. I think you can technically shoot them. It's just going to take a lot of shots.
Maybe just hopefully scare them away, because I know the dogs the wolves, I think they might get scared by the gunshots.
Gunshots, flares,
fire.
Yeah, stuff like that. I think you can also, fire, I guess, because you can throw a torch at them.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, because the first game was in a remote area, so it did seem more apocalyptic. But if this was a solar flare, this is going to affect more parts. So maybe we just end up in a new area of Canada that's still kind of in the wilderness or like rural areas, but there's going to be more people affected by this. It's not like the entire world died.
It does seem like there was a lot more urban environments in the trailer. There are some parts even in the original. There's like that one little town you can come upon. It's got like a post office and a gas station and a bunch of homes.
Yeah, I did enjoy always scrounging around that area.
That place is always great for like, oh, if I'm here, I can go dig through everyone's home to find like something. But it does make you wonder, like, because all those homes are open and there's nobody around, like something clear. How long has it been? Something did happen. But
I'm guessing they got a warning. Well, there's two possibilities. They got a warning that they knew a solar flare or solar storm, whatever you want to call it, was headed. And they're like, you're going to be cut off for a long time. So just get off this island, get to the mainland as soon as you can. So they left all their stuff. That would kind of make sense. Or it's in the case of kind of what happens to Block Island every year. People live there in the summer when the weather's nice, but once most people, there's like maybe 500 people left on Block Island during the winter. They have like the biggest immigration from Block Island every year because no one wants to fucking be out there in the winter. So maybe it's vaguely similar.
I don't know.
That would explain why there's so many houses, but no one's there because it's fucking winter and no one wants to be out there.
I remember there's something, in the story mode, you eventually meet like some grandma or something in one of the homes, and there's a bit of story of like what happened to the people and they all left.
Yeah, she's like blind, but somehow has like superpowers.
Well,
in the sense that like she can tell certain things.
Yeah, it's probably like that old mysticism of like, oh, if she can see things, maybe she has the sight or some crap like that. But yeah. I don't remember the exact details. So it's been so long since I played that story mode. And honestly, that's one of those games where it's more fun to just play the survival. Play for like a few days and just see how long you survive. And I would always get to the point where I'm like, well, I got enough guns and stuff where I can just eat like wolf meat forever. But I think they also added a thing where you can't just survive on meat alone anymore, or like
Yeah,
you
I
get
think it was.
debuffed.
I forgot if it was scurvy specific. It might be scurvy.
Yeah.
So you have to actually go around and find some other things like, the peanut butter that you always find and crackers and stuff like that. I think there was also, I forgot if this was implemented in game or not, but like if all you ate was rabbit, you actually starve to death because that's how it works in real life.
I don't know.
Anyways, wow, that was a pretty long discussion of the Long Dark. Anything else?
We love the Long Dark. It's
before we move
amazing.
on?
It's one of those games where you're going to die a lot, but it's still a lot of fun. So play Long Dark and look forward to Long Dark 2. We'll move on to the next one, which was Project Century. That's a game by the...
Oh, yeah. Pre-World Wars Japan.
Yeah, like turn of the century, 1900s Japan. So it's like it's an era of Japan that you don't really see a lot of in media. You always see the old-timey Japan where like the samurais and ninjas, or the new time Japan like in Persona where it's like modern Japan with the trains and stuff.
Or even the part of Japan where the samurai still technically existed, but they were being phased out. Is that the Meiji Restoration area?
Yeah, I think that's what it was called. I think this is what that would be. Maybe slightly later. It feels like this is around, the era where, okay, the samurai are just not allowed to be around anymore. All the swords are being confiscated. They're leaning into
all
muskets.
The World War crimes.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting era of Japan that just is not explored much. So you see, like, ancient Japan, but, like, some modern, well,
Like
quote-unquote
streetcars.
modern buildings in the sense of, like, all brick buildings going up and streetcars and Japan really leaning into muskets. Like, I don't know if you know this about Japan, but apparently at some point they were like the best at making muskets in the world.
No,
But-
I didn't know that.
But that's not such a great thing because like everyone else was already moving on to like rifles and stuff, like real like repeating shot rifles but because we had brought muskets to them, they're like, "Oh, this is great. This is the new thing." And they just like
Obsessed over it.
became experts at crafting muskets.
Because that's
But
just kind of what they seem to do.
But at the same time, everyone else was still like moving on. Anyways, it's an interesting era of Japan, and it would be cool to see like how that is in game. And it's from the people that made Yakuza and Like a Dragon. So
Like, they're actually Japanese, so they know how that actually worked back then.
yeah, and like if you ever play any of those games, they have such a like detail oriented like cities where you just walk around and just get lost in the city. So it would be really cool to experience that kind of game in that era. So even though I haven't played a lot of Yakuza games, and I do really, really want to play Like a Dragon, where it's like an RPG where it's goofy as hell. That's another thing. Like there's a lot where they don't take it too seriously, which is something I enjoy.
Like, I haven't played any of the Yakuza games, but as far as goofy goes, the one thing that always pops up in my head when you talk about Yakuza being goofy is the guy going bowling and winning a chicken.
Oh yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
And then like the chicken can become like a property manager or something.
Oh my god, yeah. So
I
that
don't know.
sounds fun.
And like I know the new Like a Dragon game, like there's at some point where you can have like an Animal Crossing for what is it, salarymen or something? I don't know. It's wild. I really need to play those Like a Dragon games.
And if you happen to be learning Japanese or even know like the tiniest bit, when you go into those cities and there's all those signs around, and I'm just like, oh, how much of this can I actually remember or pronounce?
Yeah,
or
it's
something?
almost like digital tourism in
Yeah.
a way. I kind of played Red Dead that way too. Where it's like just you can ignore the story and just enjoy being in the world.
You know what's fun? Just a quick aside is playing Red Dead Redemption almost as cottagecore. Like, oh, I just want to ride my horse and explore and go hunting and skin the animals and then bring it back and cook it and stuff.
Anyway, the next big reveal that was a surprise to me was a new Onimusha, which is, I mean, the last time they made an Onimusha game, I'm pretty sure is like for the PS2 or
Like, Do you think this was as old or older than the next big surprise?
We'll talk about that when we get to it. But
Okay.
there was also one for the GBA, but that was a strategy game. But Onimusha is a game from the PS2 era where you're playing as this samurai dude, and a bunch of demons and yokais attack a castle, and you're like having to protect a princess or the prince or some shit. And it's just a samurai game where you're fighting monsters, and it's fun. It's really fun. And in the trailer that we saw, it's just a bunch of like old timey Japanese structures, and it's like all run down and stuff. It's really pretty. And then you see like these little floating
orbs.
Yeah. And
Are they spirits?
They're kind of like souls, I guess. And then you see the telltale sign of like the Onimusha gauntlet, and he's like sucking up the souls, because that's what you do in those games. Like after you beat the enemy, it's not like Dark Souls where the souls just come to you automatically. You have to actively push the button to like draw them in. You
have to actively vacuum them up like Luigi.
Yeah. So there's a strategy involved in, like, if you're in a big fight, sometimes a lot of those souls are just like currency, but some of them can heal you too. So it's like you gotta like figure out when you're gonna do this and not just let them float away. Anyway, it's really fun. I was a huge fan of the first and the second game. I like the third game too, but the first and the second game especially were so good. It was back when Capcom was still doing those pre-rendered backgrounds. So like you'd see the 3D model of the character you're playing, because there's multiple characters you can play in the game. And the backgrounds were these two basically high resolution images, so they could get their computers to like really render out beautiful scenes, make like a picture or a movie file, and you would play over it.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil or Final Fantasy back in the PlayStation 1 days. So yeah, really good games. I really love the first two, so it was exciting to see like, oh my god, they're reviving this series after freaking, I don't know, 2 decades or more.
You know, it's crazy though, is that like, okay, obviously I never played any of the Onimusha games, but because we were already together back when you were playing, I'm assuming the second, maybe the third, that when they showed those spirits and suddenly getting sucked up into the gauntlet, it tickled something in my brain. And it was weird because like I didn't know what it was connected to, but I'm like, this feels familiar. And it's so weird when that happens.
Yeah.
Especially for something like a fucking game or whatever. It's like, this feels familiar, but I have no idea why. And it's like, oh, probably because I just watched you play so much of that back like fucking 2 decades ago.
Maybe, yeah.
So that was fun.
The next game that popped up, and we won't talk too much about it, was Pal World. Pal World is getting some expansions, and that's exciting. I like Pal World. I haven't played it in forever, and there's a bunch of new stuff. Like, they already expanded it a little bit once with like a new island, but that island was kind of small. Apparently, this new area that they're adding is basically like the size of the first like starting chunk of the world, so it's a big, massive island. And I guess there's going to be a bunch of new pals, and they're also like
I'm
updating.
assuming new like NPCs too, because what I noticed from the trailer was like the first couple of minutes was just this guy fighting a pal that looks like him.
Yeah, it's like this big burly dude, and imagine like this muscly dude in the mountains just training, and he's fighting a bear, but the bear is like a Pokemon
and looks like him.
Yeah, so it's like his partner, I guess, and they're just training. And I mean, this isn't a game that you worry too much about the story and plot or whatever, but it'll be fun just to have like, oh, a new world and space to explore and new pals to get. And I don't know what else they've updated. It's been forever, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a free update. So once it comes out, if I'm not doing anything else, maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll try to get you to play with me a little bit, and we'll see.
I guess we'll try.
I love Pal World. It's such a fun, again, a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just a fun world to be in, and it's kind of got that same vibe that I'm getting playing Minecraft with Cobblemon. It's just fun to be in the world and see them roaming around, be able to catch them and just hang out with them. And in Cobblemon, you can't make them like farm at your house or whatever, but in Pal World, you can. Like, oh, this Pokemon doesn't, maybe I don't want to use them to fight, but maybe they'll be really good at growing berries or some shit, you know?
Yeah, I guess. It's like, I understand that Pal World does not take itself seriously, and I'm totally fine with that. But this is going to be a personal thing. It's like, it feels weird to attack the creatures with like fucking AK or AR machine guns. Like,
well, you don't have to. You can attack them with a stick or a bow and arrow or a crossbow or a musket or a pistol or a rocket launcher or a sword.
Oh, great, a fucking rocket launcher. But like, it's just, with Cobblemon, I just have to battle them with the other creatures and then capture them if I want to. But I don't fucking attack any other... I don't attack the Cobblemon. I don't even like attacking spiders if it's during the day and they're not attacking me.
Well, that sounds like a you thing, because I have killed plenty of the Cobblemon with the sword and stuff.
That's
because
absolutely fucked.
they drop stuff. Even in Cobblemon, they drop stuff that can be useful.
Okay, so why not just fight them and just pretend like, oh, they just fainted like in normal Pokemon? I'm not gonna fucking take an axe to a poor little, like,
because it's
Pichu.
faster. I mean, yes, you can do the typical battles, but, you know, then you're in turn-based battle mode. And, like, in Minecraft, all the zombies and spiders, they don't pause. Especially if you're in the Nether. Oh my god, I already told this story, but I was trying to capture a sword Pokemon in the Nether. And we were doing the typical Pokemon battling, but freaking wither skeletons came up behind me and killed me. So I'm like, oh god. It's just... Anyway,
I know. What I'm saying is that even with Cobblemon or whatever, I don't want to attack the Pokemon. And
you don't have to, even in this.
Even in Power World, you don't have to. But even in the beginning, like, you don't start with a pal. You have to beat one with a rock over its head or a stick in order to capture your first one, and then you can battle from there.
True. So just do it once and then you'll be done.
We'll see. I don't know.
I mean, I guess, like... this is a whole different discussion now, but, like, in Cobblemon or Pokemon, like, you have to have the starter Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
You don't get that in Power World. You have to, like, go out and find your own.
I know. I just imagine a Pokemon and you go out into the tall grass without a Pokemon the first time, and in order to capture the first Pidgey you come across, you just fucking, like, knock it out with a punch to the face first. Like, I don't know. That's so weird. Like, I just don't want to attack an animal in real life, so I guess I kind of transfer that into games.
I see a lot. I know a lot of people are probably in agreement with you there, but I just don't. I mean, I don't care.
One other quick thing I will notice is that, like, Pal World to me almost feels like Pixelmon in Minecraft, where they just don't feel like they fit correctly. And that's kind of a turn off to me too.
I guess, like, it's because the world in Power World is kind of, I guess,
realistic-ish.
I don't know if they're just using, like, Unreal Engine assets or your Unity Engine assets, but, like, the trees look like real trees, but the Pokemon look like Pokemon.
Yeah, and they're very squishy and, like, clay-like, I guess.
They're basically Pokemon, yeah. But I don't know. I think you get used to it once you play it for a while. But I get it. There's a lot of games where I see a game like Slay the Spire. It's like, oh, that looks like a game that would be right up my alley. But there's something visually about it that kind of just turns me off, and I don't want to really just get into it. But
yeah, so it's like those two big things for me. I don't know.
I think you can eventually get over it if you try, which even I'm sure I could. But
yeah.
Anyway, that's Power World. Maybe we'll play it some other time. But the next game, Dispatch. That was with, what's this guy's name? Aaron Paul or something?
Yeah, so the quote-unquote kid from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So this looks interesting because, like, it's basically like, what were the other two games? It was The Wolf Among Us and one of the other, like, basically Telltale games where it's, like, narration,
The Walking Dead,
kind
Tales
of
from Borderlands.
choices, stuff like that. And, like... Oh my god, I have to play the other games first, obviously.
Well, this is unconnected to those games.
No, I know, but it's just like, it feels like those games would be right up my alley. So, like, shouldn't I fucking play them if they, like, intrigue me?
I guess.
That's all I'm saying.
That's the thing, too. There's so many IPs. Like, I know the Tales from Borderlands one looks like it would be pretty interesting to play, but some of the other ones, like the Walking Dead one, I hear is full of, like, gut punches and sadness. I was like, I don't really want to play that.
And The Wolf Among Us, I mean, I did play a tiny bit of that, maybe like an hour or two. And I should go back and finish that because it was just an interesting idea of, like, yeah, all these fantasy tales from childhood and stuff. But, okay, maybe it seems silly to some, but it's more gritty or whatever. And there was a gut punch in the very beginning of that too, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
Dispatch looks like it's cartoony. It's got a really cool cartoon style. Like, you could think you're just watching something on Netflix, but
it's like the superhero idea, which I know you're not into superheroes, but then, like, you're just doing dispatch. for
Yeah,
them.
like you're like a 911 dispatcher, I guess, except for superheroes, and you have to like. Not only is there the story stuff, you have to like have dialogue choices, but then you have to like plan out who are you going to send out on this call and what should they do. It looks pretty interesting actually, even for me. So yeah, I mean,
Although their little interaction at the Game Awards stage was kind of cringy, but
yeah,
whatever.
whatever. The actual game looked fine. Looked
Yeah.
really interesting actually, even for somebody who's kind of sick of superhero stuff.
It's funny that you're sick of superhero stuff, even though you've like not really taken in much of it. Like we watched The Boys, but that was like the
Yeah.
only superhero stuff. We've never really watched any of the Marvel stuff. It's just the commercials are overwhelming in
It's so
themselves.
saturated, and I'm just not into the superhero things. That's a whole other discussion again. But we also watched, what was it, The Invincibles or whatever, with that guy.
Invincible. We did a couple of episodes.
And I'm just sick of that stuff.
That was surprisingly very gory for cartoon stuff.
Like, you know what? I did like Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, but I don't like it because of Batman. Batman is so boring to me. He's uninteresting. But the villains, like especially in Arkham City, like just going around and seeing like, oh, this is something that Calendar Man did, and it's like, who the fuck is Calendar Man? And then I like read the stories, like, oh, okay, he's kind of interesting. And like, all these villains are kind of interesting, and especially in this city's setting that they had. But like, it's kind of fun because you're like ignoring the Batman stuff. It's like you're a detective and you're finding all these weirdos and all the awful things that they did and putting it together, and that stuff was interesting. But like Batman himself as a character I don't like him.
He's
He's
also kind
annoying.
of dumb. But
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to kill people. And then like, well, then the Joker is just going to come back and kill a bunch of people, you dumbass. Anyway, whatever. This isn't a Batman discussion. Dispatch looks cool, but let's move on to probably the coolest thing all night.
Okay, so this was my big thing because, again, as I stated in the beginning of the podcast, I've watched many, many, many awards and trailers and stuff of world premieres and surprises, and I get to see you, which I'm fine with, be super surprised when things like fucking Onimusha show up.
All right, let's talk about it from the very beginning then, because like, okay, he's like, oh, we have a cool new announcement, and it almost seemed like he was tearing up.
I was literally just going to bring that up. He did look like he was tearing up, and that was really surprising.
Yeah, it's like, this is really special. So
Like,
we see,
holy shit.
it starts with like just some guy on the stage, and he's got this big old drum, and he's like banging on the drum, right?
Yeah,
So I thought it was just going to be a music thing, like, oh, this is a musical show. Okay, sure, whatever.
it's like Japanese music, yeah.
I didn't even realize that at the beginning.
Well, that's the drum. I think they use those drums
Like a
at,
taiko drum, I guess.
yeah, like festivals and stuff.
So we see the guy drumming, and then like the orchestra in the back starts up, and there's like this part where like this inky paint gets splattered on the screen.
And like if you think back to it, it's like, oh, inky paint, like fucking
Yeah,
of
it didn't
course.
hit immediately, but like you see the inky paint, it kind of looks like a forest, and then it's like you're rushing through the forest. It's like you're an animal rushing through the forest, right? And then you come out to like a clearing, and it gets kind of
Yes. Oh, I'm just going to interject. I think because we watched it again, like when did you realize what this trailer was?
not yet.
I think I felt it just at the part where you're running through and you start seeing like flowers and new growth pop up from the ground.
At this point, I thought it was just a music video. Like, I didn't know it was going to be a game trailer, because
Fair.
it started with a guy on the stage beating drums and like, a live orchestra.
I thought it was going to be like the ghost. There's a new Ghosts of... No, but that was already released.
Ghosts of Yotei or something.
Yeah. I just thought it was going to be one of those Japanese like fighting game things again.
And because it was towards the end of the show, I thought, oh, maybe this is going to lead into the orchestra thing where they play all the game's musics for the final nominees, right?
Yeah, so maybe it was Wukong or something because it's
Yeah,
vaguely
I
similar.
thought like, oh, okay, it's just something like that. But no, that's when they okay, keep going. You want to keep going from here? Things running through the forest, things start getting like, I guess, flowery before the clearing.
Yeah, then it goes into the clearing and you see a form of something. But it's dark at first, and then it lights up and it's white and you realize it's a wolf. And you're like, oh my god,
Is it?
it's fucking Okami.
Yeah.
And like,
And then the music really starts going, and it's like, oh wow, it's that music. That's
yeah, I think it's the theme of Okami that started playing. And I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, it's fucking Okami. Because I've listened to the soundtrack a lot. And
it's so good.
Yes, it's just, oh my god, it's so good. And do you remember more of the trailer? Because now I'm just losing it.
So we see like the wolf. It's like, okay, this is a wolf, and it's running like upwards on the screen, and
It's making grass and flowers.
and then it like zooms in on its back, and it has like this little fiery effect coming in where it's like forming that shield thing that Amaterasu, the wolf from Okami, has on her back. And that's when it's like, if you didn't know it by now, this is obviously Okami.
And I think like the audience started freaking out too. Because this is an old game. Oh,
PS2 era.
yes. So this is like, again, online with Onimusha, where Okami came out about the same time we started dating, right? Back in 2005, maybe-ish?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure I played that when we were first dating. Yeah.
So, yeah, this game... Okay. Okami came out probably around 2004, 2005, somewhere very early. We started dating about 2004, I think. So this is like... Once this game eventually comes out, maybe next year, maybe 2026, it'll have already been 2 decades, 20 years since the first game.
Yeah, it was 2005.
Yeah. So this is a very old property, and technically on the the original DS, I guess, they
Yeah.
had Okami Den, which
Yeah.
was like Amaterasu's baby, I guess?
Yeah, it was very chibi, and
Or was it Amaterasu as a baby? I don't
I
remember.
don't remember specifically, but it was a DS game, so like it just couldn't hold up to the grandeur of the PS2 game.
Yeah,
Because
so
the PS2
we
game had a
never
very
played
unique
that.
look. It had that like painterly look.
Painterly look. It was, I wouldn't say it was completely open world of what we use these days, but it was pretty open world for how games worked back then.
Yeah, big open areas, a huge world to explore. Like
Yeah,
every
the
time,
whole thing about the field was that you could run around and just be free, basically.
yeah, and like you would like run around and make flowers and plants sprout and clear out corruption and make nature come back, and you would feed the animals. It was just very nature. You're a wolf in nature making nature better.
Yeah, and you also like complete the constellations so that the other gods can come back to you.
Oh yeah, and they give you like special abilities to use.
And oh my god, it's just so
And, like-
fucking good. And this was, I just can't reiterate enough how much of a fucking surprise this is.
Yeah, even for me is like, I mean, Okami, that's a series we thought just like, oh, it's dead. It's one
Yeah,
of those
basically.
sad stories of an amazing game series that is just dead.
And just to think, like, the game back then was already good. Now just imagine 20 years of game improvements and quality of life. And yes, graphics to some point, even though it's, I'm hoping, going to keep the inky look. But
Yeah.
even inky can be more realistic. Inky, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god, I am so fucking... Now wonder he was tearing up. Like, holy shit.
That was amazing. Like,
This was the best thing ever.
just hearing the music again is like, oh, I gotta just listen to the whole soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to pick one of those music tracks, whether it's just the theme. I don't know if, hopefully no one gets woken up at the end of the episode with the music, but it's
Okami music is so good. If you haven't played Okami on the
It's
PS2,
amazing.
it's like, it's been re-released on so many things.
and even if somehow you listen to this podcast and you don't play games, just listen to the soundtrack. It is
Yeah, for
fucking
sure.
gorgeous.
The Okami soundtrack is amazing. Like,
It's orchestra, so you know it's good.
but it's like it's like a Japanese style music, but it's also kind of like, I don't know how to say it, like upbeat and poppy in some points where it's just so good. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I will say, because you had kind of brought this up while we were watching the trailers, I forgot what game it was. It had something to do with the crow or something. The only thing that could surprise me more is if they had a world premiere trailer of like fucking Tokyo Jungle.
Oh yeah. It was the I think it was the Virtual Fighter
Oh, yeah.
trailer that we didn't talk about because I mean we don't really care too much about that. but there was a part where there was this crow in the city, and just like it looked like a rundown city, and just nothing was happening but animals. And is this Tokyo Jungle 2?
That would have been holy
That
shit.
would have been funny.
Now that's a fucking IP that needs to come back with the quality life and open worldness. Because as much as I did enjoy Tokyo Jungle, the fact that there was like the sections that didn't flow quite correctly.
Yeah.
That was kind of off-putting.
That game's kind of dated too.
But holy shit, that game would be fucking amazing.
They need to release that on PC. Like, it's another game that's just locked away on like the PS3. And just Tokyo Jungle was so good.
Oh god,
but
such a good game.
Okami. So Okami's great,
God,
and
Okami's
we're
such a
super
good game.
excited to see more.
And like I went on Blue Sky afterwards just to look up, because the only thing I posted on my personal Blue Sky was holy shit Okami. And then I looked up the tag, and everyone's like posting their art pieces because artists fucking love this game too.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Even for
I'm
the
just kind of
PS2.
surprised they didn't have the little
Isun?
Isun, yeah, because he was such a big part of Okami.
Yeah, if you don't know Okami, and I mean you should go get intimate with Okami.
Well, not
Anyway, Isun is your like side character that he's like your sidekick. He's like a little flea man.
Yeah.
I guess he's supposed to be a little bug, and it's tied to some Japanese story that like I don't remember the details of.
Yeah, because
but-
Amaterasu is like in her dog form. She doesn't actually talk at all. She does
Yeah.
like some growls and stuff.
barking, it's very silly. Yeah,
But Isun is there to be like the
voice.
the
yeah.
comedic relief, the voice, the
Yeah.
sarcastic stuff, you know.
It's such a good dynamic too, and he's a lovable little character. He's not annoying.
Yeah.
Luckily, back then in the everyone talked in the game via speech
Gibberish.
bubbles and gibberish. So
Oh yeah, let's hope they keep the gibberish.
if they have like voice acting and Isun has like a high pitched voice, it's like oh no. But
What
we'll
if
see.
they did voice acting is like super gruff voice?
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, he's a little beetle dude or something.
And he's
he
got
has-
like the samurai kind of hat on his head.
it's like a beat. Yeah,
It's part of him, but it's
like
a hat.
It's like a imagine those like rice hats that they
Yeah.
would have, but it's like a beetle shell or something.
Mm.
And he's got like a little sword, but he's also like a painter. So
just
like
super
he's
cute.
along for the ride to like document what Amaterasu is doing for the world, and you're kind of like building up the people's belief in Amaterasu, and the more they believe, the stronger she gets, which is very, JRPG kind of thing. But yeah, oh man,
I can't wait. Just everyone's gonna freak out. Just so many thoughts and like, oh, what are they gonna do? And God, I hope they don't fuck it up.
yeah, that's the thing too. That's the thing about being excited about a new game. It's like, oh my god, I can't wait, and then it's like, oh, please don't suck, please don't suck. So we shall see. It's cool to see that like even Clover Studio is back as Clover's Studio.
Yeah. So is it their own indie studio now? Like
I don't know.
who owned
Capcom's name still appeared in the trailers, and I
True.
guess it's their IP. I don't really know how that works. It brings up other questions too, like are they going to be able to do other things? Are they going to bring back Beautiful Joe?
Oh, someone had posted that on Blue Sky too. They're like, hey, if Okami's back, can I get some Beautiful Joe? It's like, yeah, that's fair.
Beautiful Joe's really fun too, and it's,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play it. I watched you, but that was some good stuff too.
but definitely Okami is like the star for me. Like that game is just
Especially since like the biggest Okami news from back then was like when they re-released it or something. Was it the HD version? And then they got caught using like the IGN.
oh, that was for the Wii version, yeah,
Oh god, that was cringe.
yeah.
So this is gonna be happy and just I don't know.
And they put Amaterasu in Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh yeah.
So if you have Monster Hunter Rise and you don't want to play Okami, well, then at least do the Amaterasu missions. You'll get to hear the music there, and then get like a Amaterasu skin for your dog, which is like the only one I ever used in that game.
I mean, she's so pretty. How could you not? Should we talk about the last thing on the list, or no one cares after Okami?
No, we'll go over the last thing. The last game, which it's called Intergalactic, which again the name doesn't get dropped until the very end, but it starts out with like some lady and she's shaving her head. She's got like a buzz cut. And,
Oh my gosh, she's so cute. I'm sorry.
yeah, she's cute. and the graphics were just like incredible. Like you see like the faces and everything. It's like, wow, somebody, this is like top tier AAA studio doing this. So it's like, I didn't say it at the time, but it's like there's only a few studios that can do faces this good. And well, the Witcher team already has a game, so maybe it's Naughty Dog. So like, okay, maybe it's Naughty Dog, but like Naughty Dog is just doing, I know they're doing Uncharted 5, I think they're up to. And they're also like re-releasing The Last of Us a million times. So I figured they were too busy doing anything. But no, apparently Naughty Dog is making a new game, and it's called
Intergalactic. And
it looks, well, I mean, if you know what Naughty Dog games look like, you know it looks amazing.
Like, it's amazing that cinematics, I don't know if it's going to look like this technically in the game, but the cinematics, their humans look more human than like what was on TV like fucking 50 years ago, just because of the quality of stuff. It's just, I think Naughty Dog is like going to get past that uncanny valley the quickest.
I mean, they already did, in my opinion.
It looks like a fucking movie. It looks like actual people. Like maybe there's still something slightly off, but
it's still got like a style to it. Yeah.
Good. The only other thing of the trailer was you kind of would notice real quick, but you could notice the logo placements.
Yeah.
Like the starship in the beginning was a Porsche.
Yeah.
And what was there? Was there Adidas or Nike or something for the shoes?
She had Adidas shoes on, yeah. And also like the Sony CD player.
Oh yeah, which is
that was another hint. Like, okay, it's Sony, so this is not going to be an Xbox or a Microsoft game. It's not going to be a Nintendo game. So obviously this is Sony property. So that's another hint of like, well, it's got to be Naughty Dog then, right?
Well, with these graphics, it'll never be a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
it looked really good.
It's
some space game, I guess, where you're like hunting down.
Yeah, I guess you're a bounty hunter.
I guess.
Or you're just going after this one particular person.
Yeah.
Apparently they're super dangerous, and what
and,
was
we
it
saw
like?
a moon that was like blasted apart or something. I don't know if that was the Earth. It could be Earth, or it could be just some other planet with a moon.
I thought it was just like an asteroid or something, but.
I thought it was Earth with the moon, but again, it could be just because it's sci-fi and there's a starship. It could be fucking anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't really have to. It doesn't even have to actually exist in real life.
But it was a very cinematic trailer. There wasn't like any gameplay. It's just like, this is the character, this is the setup, and it looks very good.
Yeah, here's this movie.
Yeah, so that was interesting in that way. So, I mean, it's going to probably be a PS5 exclusive for a long time, and then when it comes to PC in like, I don't know, a decade.
Maybe we'll have computers that could handle it.
Yeah, you're going to need like a RTX 6080 or something.
Actually, was this also the trailer where it said on the bottom that this was being used on like an unannounced NVIDIA card or something?
Really?
I think there was one of the trailers, and maybe it's this one, but yeah, at the very bottom in very small text, it says this is using like Unreal Engine 5 and an unannounced NVIDIA card. So
I don't know. Would that? I don't know if Naughty Dog would be using that. I guess we'd have to look it up again.
Maybe it was another one. I don't know, but
I'm gonna have to.
One of the trailers had that.
Figure out which one that was, because I mean, if it's a Naughty Dog game, it's gonna come out to PS5 first.
Did they use Intel or something?
Well, it's a PS5, so they wouldn't be optimizing it for a graphics card, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't know. Sorry.
But anyway, well, it was interesting. We'll see. I mean, we don't have a PS5 anyways, so
yeah,
it's gonna be forever if we ever play it. But it looked good, and that was the final trailer.
Yeah.
Okami being the second to last trailer, which to me is still
the biggest thing of that entire
of the night. Yeah.
So do you want to throw any shade on the bad trailers, or you want to be good and just?
I don't know. We skipped a lot of the stuff we don't care about. A lot of shooters, multiplayer shooters, Fortnite stuff, racing games.
The only thing, I'll throw shade a little bit on the Squid Game.
Okay.
Because I feel like, and we talked about this when it showed up, it's like, yes, the Squid Game show was very good, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with season 2 if we decide to watch that. But it's like, it's kind of it feels like the same issue of when, I guess it was Mr. Beast that did his thing. they're completely losing the whole meaning behind the Squid Games, that it's
Yeah.
not supposed to be a thing you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, what
It's
the
kind of
fuck?
it's kind of like idiocracy, where like we are so just addicted to this awful media. Not that the Squid Game is awful media, but like the game itself is an awful thing, right? We are so addicted to that stuff as a society that corporations will just feed us this slop and this terrible shit, and we'll eat it up. And
Like,
the story,
ooh, I want to take place in that. Like, no, you fucking
yeah,
don't.
that's the thing. The story of the Squid Games was like, this is awful, and we're gonna stop it. And like the guy that gets out, spoiler alert, he's like, I'm gonna devote my life to stopping this shit. But because it's such a popular media franchise, the corporations in the real world are also like, we're gonna fucking milk this dry and get as much money out of it we can. And that's kind of gross, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like this story that was so good and touching and moving. Like there was moments in that movie that shocked me, that made us cry. Like,
Yeah, that was...
and it's just like, it kind of gets ruined when the companies are like, well, time to make part 2 and part 3. And hey, there's a video game, kids. You want to play the mobile game? You want to buy the t-shirt? You want to buy the doll?
Yeah.
When the story is this company that's doing this is fucking awful, and the society that lets it happen is fucking awful. So
and we're just it's like we're getting so used to seeing all these depictions of dystopias that we're like playing into it. Like, oh, I want to play in the dystopia. No, just stop.
yeah, it's weird.
So that will be my complaint. Do you want to do a complaint, or are we good?
It's like, yeah, I'm not interested in the Squid Game, the game. I'm having a hard time even being interested in season 2, to be honest with you. There are some things where it's like, does this need a season 2? Does this need a season 3?
It depends on how they do it or did it. I don't know if it's out yet.
It's kind of like
It would be interesting to see how he goes about it and like the trials he has to go through trying to get past this corporation bullshit.
I guess we'll see. I mean,
I don't know. But if they end up turning him into like, oh, he's going to continue the game, no, fuck you.
It's kind of like Stranger Things. I really like the first season of Stranger Things was like perfect.
Yeah, the second was pretty good, but they're going on too long.
It's just too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Just stop it, please.
And a lot of these stories, like the more you drag it out, the more you harm the overall story. It's kind of like Warcraft in a way. I really like the story of Warcraft and like Warcraft 2 and 3 and even a little bit parts of the World of Warcraft, but because it's this media thing that it can't end, they can't write a satisfying story. They have to drag it out like a dead horse. So like the war of Warcraft will never end because we need the money.
Yeah.
So they can't write a good story anymore, and it just gets dragged on. And like if they do that with the Stranger Things, or if they do that with the Squid Game, like it's depressing.
Yeah. Well, I heard they did that with Heroes, the TV show, but we ended up watching it so late that we finished the first season and we saw that everyone else was like season 2, 3, I don't know how long it went on, but it was also because of the writer's strike, so I guess they had new writers. They're like, don't bother. So we just ended at season 1 and it was good.
I
It finished great.
I wonder how you'll feel about that for season 2 of The Last of Us. Because The Last of Us 1, again, is another one of those stories that it just ends perfectly. And you could just never write another page of The Last of Us, and it would have been a perfect story. But they did, and The Last of Us 2 is very just... There's just a lot, and it's... I don't want to say it's bad, because it's good, but it's also like torture porn. And it's like, hey, do you want to... Maybe Ellie had a nice happy ending, even though Joel was fucked up, and like there's that issue, like what happens next. There's still a possibility for at least maybe they'll have a good life.
Well, the thing is that because the Last of Us TV show was such a, aside from that, the one episode with the gay couple, which I fucking loved, but technically it's not in the game, I guess, or not quite like that. It's such a good adaptation in that I kind of already know the general gist of what happens in the second game, that I kind of figure that it's going to be the same thing in the show, so I might as well watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about the torture porn, and Ellie just keeps making the wrong fucking decisions, but...
There's so much media like that where it's like, I'm watching this character that you want to root for, but you want to just like slap them and be like, stop.
Yeah, basically. And it's so frustrating.
Yeah, and it's like that again. It's one of those things like if this media property is so profitable, do we just keep writing stories? Like even at the end of The Last of Us 2, it's not a you're not left with hope. At least at the end of The Last of Us 1, there is some hope.
I guess.
And like it's just, oh god, is there going to be more? Is this so profitable that we need more? Well, we just got to torture our character even more and find more ways to. I don't know, man. It's again, I guess I would say a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
So we should just leave that. Wow, what a shit! What a day! What a show! What a thing! What a many thing to talk about because
Yeah.
many things happen.
There was some good, there was some bad, the typical. And then there was the one excellent, so.
Yeah, one super exciting thing that we're both excited about. There's other games I'm excited about too, but even for me, I think the most exciting thing is Okami.
Yeah, I don't even think I was that excited when they gave the, like, not even a trailer, but just a fucking picture of Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that was a picture, so.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing to it, so.
Although when Jeff did say, like, oh, this studio has been working on this for years and in privacy and stuff, I was so expecting Silk Song. Because I know that has been such a meme for, like, what, a fucking
Oh yeah.
6 years now or something.
Wow, yeah, they really surprised us. Maybe we should watch that whole section again just to see everything.
Anyways, we'll leave you with that and enjoy whatever music is coming up now.
And go play
after
Okami
post.
if you haven't.
Yes, oh my god, play Okami. See, please, it's so fucking good. Or just listen to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Either or. Just play it, please.
Alrighty, take care, be good.
We love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.